Aladdin. It started out as a 5 out of 10, worked its way up to an 8 out of 10. And no, I'm not just crazy. Hello and welcome to Coach Max Goes to the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the live-action remake of Aladdin. This is the remake of the 1992 classic, Aladdin, in case you didn't know, and all around the internet, before and after the movie came out, it has been very polarizing on what people thought about this movie. I mentioned earlier on how it started out as a 5 out of 10. I did not care for the first third of this movie at all. It felt so much like a soulless remake. And that phrase has been thrown around a whole lot with these Disney live-action remakes. Soulless. There's a few of them that are kinda soulless. There's a few that I don't understand why people think they're soulless, like Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, it's not as great as the original, but I absolutely love this version of it. So, IDK, man. But the first third of this movie, it felt soulless. Everything was so rushed so quickly. There were a few minor changes in the story, and that's not really a big deal with anything. Nothing felt like it flowed properly, and when it did flow properly, it was only because it was a carbon copy of what happened in the original. But after the first third, basically when Aladdin gets Genie, is when the movie really becomes its own thing. After that, there's hardly any scenes that are carbon copies from the original. And I feel like that's a great way to do it. Let's go ahead and talk about the big one in the movie, Genie. Played by Will Smith, who I don't understand why people were concerned whenever he was announced for this role, did a fantastic job as the Genie. I think people forgot that Will Smith was a rapper before he was ever an actor. So in a Disney movie like Aladdin that is so famous for its songs, of course they had to think about who was going to be Genie. They didn't just pull a name out of a hat and be like, oh yeah, let's go with that guy. And Will Smith does such a great job as Genie. No one will ever be able to imitate and replicate the job that Robin Williams did. That performance is one of the greatest performances of all time. I truly believe that. But Will Smith does just as good of a job. Okay, well maybe not just as good of a job, but you get what I mean. Will Smith is funny. I never have to doubt that Will Smith isn't going to be funny. And he didn't just try to be Robin Williams with this. And that's something that a lot of people were expecting. He drew inspiration from what Robin Williams did, but very little was exactly like how Robin did it. And I think that Will Smith nailed how much of Robin to imitate in this. I really liked the actors for Aladdin and for Jasmine. Both of them fit their roles very, very nicely. Jafar, he was okay. I felt like he was good. He wasn't overly bad. He was just incredibly in the middle. He certainly wasn't anywhere near the cartoon counterpart. But, you know, what can you do? You can only be so good in live action compared to animation. I wouldn't say I enjoyed what they did with Abu and Iago, but I at least appreciated it that they made them live action animals with CG obviously thrown in. But they made them have attitudes and personalities that, yeah, you can tell it's a fake monkey and a fake parrot, but it's not overly cartoon. Iago wasn't speaking in complete sentences. He was speaking exactly the same way a parrot would. And Abu is just cute. If you don't think Abu is cute, you need to get out of here. I loved how Agrabah looked in the movie. I love how everything looked. It felt so much richer than the original. And I love the design of the original Agrabah. But from the streets of Agrabah to the palace, everything had so much more life in it this time. Let's talk about the songs. I did not expect to like the songs as much as I did coming out of this. There's only one song that I absolutely did not like, and that's One Jump Ahead at the very beginning. The original is one of my favorite Disney songs of all time, so that's probably the reason with the mixed reception to it for me. But it just didn't feel like it had any of the charm that the original had. Every other song, though, except for one, and I'll talk about that one later, was fantastic. I loved the fake out that they do with A Friend Like Me in the cave, where he makes it seem like he's doing a botched version of it, and then he blasts into a performance as grand as the song itself. And Prince Ali was stunning. I did not expect that to be my favorite song of the live-action one at all. A Whole New World was really, really good. I felt like it was on par with the original. It didn't try to expand on it too much, and that's smart because it's a whole new world. You're not going to change a whole lot in it. There's no reprise of Prince Ali sung by Jafar, which maybe this dude couldn't have sung. I don't really know about it. But I don't know. It's kind of disappointing. The one song that I just didn't care for, I don't think it's a bad song, was the only new song in the movie, the song that Jasmine sings. And I don't even know the title of it. That's how forgettable it is. It didn't feel like it fit in with the movie at all. It just didn't leave an impression on me at all. It was all about how Jasmine was her own person and how she can be strong. And I am all about strong women being strong. If you think this is a political attack, 1, you don't know me at all. 2, I loved Captain Marvel. Just because you like or dislike something that is a statement doesn't mean that you support or oppose any political stance. Let's just stay as far away from that as we can on this channel. The song itself was just so forgettable. And Genie looked okay. As the blue dude, it's not nearly as bad as the gut reaction people had. And maybe that's something with just hot takes on things. I think people really need to look at something, not try to form an opinion immediately, let it settle for a minute, and then think about it. They did a really, really smart move by turning his skin to Will Smith's regular skin color, because having this blue genie walking around, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I think they realized how goofy the blue skin was. One thing that I was really disappointed by was Genie Jafar. Genie Jafar is this super big baddie from the original, and you felt like he was really invincible. Here, they literally just took the dude, took his shirt off, and blew him up to like 50 times normal size. It just felt lazy. I was really expecting them to do this really cool Genie Jafar in live action, and nothing. Nothing at all from it. I talked about how the movie was a 5 out of 10 and then turned into an 8 out of 10. The second thirds of the movie really bring it into its own, making it unique from the original, while still having that original as a guideline. I loved what they did with Genie starting out the story just like in the original. Fun fact, if you didn't know he was the peddler, he definitely is. He's voiced by Robin Williams. He has the same beard as Genie. Look it up. It's true. And integrating Genie's wife, which is a little weird, but get over it, into the main story. Something that I loved, starting right from the beginning though, the kids talk about how it's better when Genie sings. I feel like they wrote that in right after people were concerned about Will Smith singing. Like, it was just so on the nose, and it was just perfect. I adored that point. And the movie quickly rose up to an 8 out of 10. It just became more fun, more energetic. It felt like they were a lot more focused on what they were doing. Now, I gave Detective Pikachu a 7 out of 10. That's not to say that I like Aladdin better than Detective Pikachu. As a movie, I think Aladdin is probably better. But I don't know if I'll even buy Aladdin when it comes out on Blu-ray, and I'm definitely getting Detective Pikachu day 1 when it's released. I give it the 8 out of 10 ranking because it's just a good movie. It's so solid. I don't think you're going to walk away from it feeling like it lacked anything. I feel like you're going to walk away from it and being like, yeah, it's Disney. It's not the best one they've done, but it's good. If I had to get a whole lot more technical, I'd probably give it a 7.6, but 7.6 rounds up to 8. If I had to pick between this and the original, I would watch the original all day long. But you should definitely give this one a chance.